So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share 7 writing tips on how to grab readers' attention so that they buy your book. Because if you have created enough interest right from the beginning, first line, the opening line of your book or your article, you have won the battle. So how do you do it? Hi Neha. So the 7 tips. Now in literary, hi Narendra. So in literary technique, we call this as the hook. Hi Atul. The hook of the story. What is the hook of your story? So the hook is the opening line. Hi Vishaka. The opening line of your story, of your article, or of your post. So that is called the hook. So there are 7 tips on how do you write an enticing hook, the hook of your story. So even before, hi Deepthi, so even before opening the book, you have a chance to grab readers' attention. And what is that? Any guesses here? Any guesses of even before clicking on your article, you have to grab readers' attention. The number 1 technique is, hi Manjiri. So any guesses here? Do you know? Hi Ashish. So I'm going to share this gold-like information with all of you. So type gold if you want to know. Hi Jignesh. So number 1 thing is the title or headline of your post, title of your book. It should be enticing enough. It should grab readers' attention. Yes, exactly Narendra. Right, you're right. The title of the book. The title of the book or the headline of your post or an article, it should be enticing enough for the reader to grab or open your article, grab your book or open your article. That's number 1 tip, the number 1 step to grabbing readers' attention. So after you've come up with a good title, a great title, a very attractive title, hi Chaitali. So what's the second thing? Second thing is the opening line of your book or article. So what can be that opening line? So the tips are now on that opening line. What is that? What it can be? So the second tip is, any guesses here? Hi Manisha. Hi Archana. So what is the second tip of grabbing readers' attention? So the moment the reader opens your article or opens your book, the first line, the opening line of your post or book can be, any guesses here? So put your reader into the middle of action. It could be an action-packed scene or a climactic event, and the reader will be compelled to read ahead. There are 2 reasons for it. Number 1 is the energy itself of that action-packed event, and second, what is the second reason? Because the reader is in the middle of something, if thrown the reader in the middle of something without context, the reader will have a lot of questions. What is happening? And so you would have generated enough interest in reader to continue reading and finding out what is actually happening in the scene. So that's the number 2 tip, that you throw the reader in the middle of action right at the start of your chapter. Okay. So next is, say for example, you have a non-fiction book or you're writing an essay and you don't have some action-packed event in your story. So then what do you do in that case? How do you open your story? So the third tip is, any guesses here? Hi Kavita. So what is the third tip? Any guesses? So the third tip is to make an emotional connection with your reader. So how do you do that? And why you should do that? The moment, create interesting atmosphere. So how do you connect emotionally to a character. Show your character immediately in the first scene, in the opening line. Show your character's emotional response to certain thing. When you show that emotional response, that vulnerability of your character in the opening scene, the reader immediately connects to your character, and you are able to develop a sense of empathy towards your character. So if you can do that, the reader would want to know, because now she's emotionally connected to your character, so they would want to know, read further, what happens with this character. So the number three tip is to create an emotional connection with the reader by showing an emotional response of your character to a certain event in the opening scene of your chapter. Now, what's the next step? Say, for example, this also doesn't fit, then what can you do? Hi, Manisha. So the fourth tip, this tip, what I'm going to share, you can use it even in your Facebook post or on your Insta stories or post. This is like an awesome information, a secret information, which you can apply anywhere to grab anyone's attention. And what is that? Hi, Mohit. So the fourth tip is the gold. That's make surprising statements, make controversial statement. So you start your story with a controversial or a surprising combination of words, and then the reader would be left to think about it throughout, trying to find sense or connection with that statement. So yes, you've grabbed reader's attention by making a surprising statement right at the beginning of your story. Then after, these are the 4 tips. What is the next one? What is the 5th one? Now, write your chapter. Say, for example, in the middle of 3rd or 4th chapter. Now, what do? How do you continue grabbing reader's attention? You compel, you create. So this is the 5th tip I'm giving you, is you write the scene. You write the para in such a way that the reader is compelled to ask questions about what the character's motivations or desires or backstories. So you don't answer a lot of questions, and you don't ask a lot of questions, but you write the scene in such a way that the reader is thinking about, why is the character behaving this way, or what is the motive of the character behind this. So that's the technique used in thriller writing, where you compel the reader to come up with questions. And what next would you do? So abrupt opening could also be a fact. Yes, exactly, Narendra, you're right. Then what is next step? Now this is also very important. Listen to me carefully. Is don't write long descriptions. So now I've seen people write pages of descriptions, and they may be relevant, but they are not taking the story anywhere. So avoid longer descriptions of physical characteristics of character, unless they are generating some questions or curiosity or mystery about that character. So avoid longer descriptions. That's the 6th tip. And the 7th tip is a very important tip. Is any guesses here? What could be it? This is generally used in thriller. The 7th tip is, when you have grabbed reader's attention, you keep it. Yes, and how do you keep it? You answer one question. So obviously you have generated enough curiosity in the first opening lines by asking questions or generating questions from the reader, and then throughout, as you're writing the story, answer some of those questions, but not all of them. Okay, keep some questions for later use. But when you're answering some question, yes, exactly, suspense is that when you answer one question, ensure that you create one more question. So the reader is getting some answers, but at the same time you're throwing some more questions, and that's how, it's like, chain of question and answer, question and answer. So that's how you grab and maintain reader's attention, and the reader keeps reading your book page by page. That's like a best-selling stories opening tips. So if you liked, so that's what I have. If you have any questions on this, so I've shared the 7 tips of grabbing readers' attention, and you can apply it not just in fictional stories, writing fictional stories or non-fiction, but you can also apply it in creating compelling stories, compelling posts on Facebook and Instagram. And if anyone wants to summarize, can quickly summarize here what they've learned from this video. Hi Premal. Yes, you have. So you have to write your style, writing style should be such that you are leaving the question to them. I mean, the reader should get that question. You don't have to tell them that, okay, this is the question that I'm going to answer, or this is the thing. But by writing, it's like intrinsic that they get that question. What is the motive of the character? How to finish it, ma'am? So how to finish your story? I don't understand your question, Narendra. Can you please elaborate? So the 7 tips, I'll just summarize quickly for all of you. Number 1 is the title of your story or your book or your article. Even before the reader has opened your book, the title is like a mini hook to your story or book. So it has to have, power or impactful title should be there, that it is enough to grab readers' attention to take your book or click the article, open the article to read. Number 2 is the opening line. How should be the opening line? You should put the reader right into middle of action and create that energy in the first line, first paragraph itself, that the reader is compelled to read and know that what is happening, what is the context of the story. What's the third one? The third is, if you don't have an action-packed scene in your, immediate storyline, then what you do is make an emotional connection. So this can be used also when you are narrating your personal story. When you describe your personal story, you invoke reader's sense of empathy, and because they empathize with you, they want to know what is happening ahead, and that is why that's a very good hook. Make an emotional connection. The fourth one, anyone here remembers what's the fourth tip? It's you make a surprising statement. Make a surprising or controversial statement right at the beginning of the story, and then the reader will be, intrigued to know what is the statement and how it fits in the story. So that's the fourth tip. Fifth one, anyone remembers what is the fifth one? You write in a way that the reader, you are generating questions for the reader. Okay, what is the character's motives? What are his motivations? What his desires, his fears? So why he's doing this way, or why what does the character wants? What does he want? So yes, so that's the fifth one. Sixth one is, don't make your descriptions too long. Okay, you don't have 6 pages to grab readers' attention. You just have the first page. So that's why you avoid longer descriptions at the start of the story. And the 7th one is, once you've grabbed readers' attention, keep it, answer the questions, continue the drama, and keep throwing, keep using these techniques to keep the reader reading your story ahead. So it shouldn't be like that you have grabbed the attention only the first chapter. You should be using these tips chapter after chapter, so that that's like you should be having one controversial statement or question, starting a question that will drive the reader chapter to chapter. So yes, hi Anand, hi Jayashree. So that's what I wanted to share with all of you, how to grab readers' attention. Narendra, how do you finish a story? That's again a different, what do you say, a different session altogether. But still, I would say is when a writer writes a story or a post, you are asking some questions. So your vision or the reason for writing the post, you have to know that when you are ending the story, you should know that you're answering those questions for the reader. If you're not answering, then you're losing the reader's interest. So when you end the story, it should be conclusive. Whatever idea you started with has to be concluded in that story or in that book. If you're not doing it, then it's not complete. The story is not finished. So ensure that you have closed all the ends, all the questions when you are finishing the story. So that's how you finish a story. So you can finish a story in a scene or a summary or a description. It's up to you. There are various ways of finishing a story. What should be there at the end of the story? Hi Kanika, hi Lavina. So that was about how to grab readers' attention. If you liked, so I have my private mastermind group. If you want to join it, just message here and I will share the link with you and you can join the group there, where I keep sharing a lot of such useful information on impactful writing. Thank you. Bye-bye.